What's going on, guys? It's Kyle with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we have a very interesting knife to go over. This is one that was sent to me by Bad Monkey EDC on Instagram, a longtime viewer of the channel, a very big supporter of the channel. He sent me knives before, sent me a big package of knives that is going to be going to me and a lot of other YouTubers. And one of them that stood out to me because Kyle size knife is this bad boy. This is the Lone Wolf Knives Harsey T3 Ranger. Kind of a mouthful, right? Didn't know this knife existed, and I don't really know much about Lone Wolf. The only thing I know about Lone Wolf knives is that they are no longer in business. And from what I remember, they were bought out by Benchmade, and then basically the company just dissipated, and now, so they don't make these knives anymore. Any of the, I think there's like a T1 and a T2. This one's the T3, and I believe it's the biggest. And hoy, is it a big boy? Come on now. Definitely a Kyle size knife, right? Definitely. So this knife, to be up front, it's like 15 years old. So I've got to keep that in mind when doing a review like this, because 15 years ago or so, however long ago this was built, I mean, something like that, this thing had a lot going for it. So it is tip down carry. I'm not a fan. Back then, though, a lot of knives were tip down carry. And it has, you know, for 15 years ago, S30V steel. S30V steel now is almost boring, right? Great steel, still a great steel, but almost boring. But whenever this knife came out, S30V was the tippity top, like the premium steel. So that's good. Titanium liners on this guy. So it had a lot going for it back then. Really don't know even what they went for because they're discontinued. I think around $200. I've seen certain variants of these knives online just by looking at a couple of pages when I Googled it. So some versions even going for like $600-900 in, like, you know, near mint condition. Of course, they had a few different scale options like micarta and whatnot, and I think it's those more premium ones because this is definitely a plastic. But, you know, not inexpensive back in the day when this is coming out. But the reason being is because, first of all, it's massive. It had a premium steel, titanium liners, just a lot going on for it at the time. How does it compare now? I mean, no, it doesn't compare at all to knives that you get today with the steels that we have, materials, and the prices that you can get some of those things. It's just not really a comparison. But I was interested because look at this bad boy. I mean, it's freaking monster, right? And I like grips. I like knives that are long enough to be able to get all kinds of grips on. This knife is the T3 Ranger. In my opinion, I mean, I think it was actually branded as a tactical knife, and especially back then, it was kind of the deal. But a heavy-duty work knife, right? For somebody who's an operator who can go out, use this, and beat on it and whatnot. Now, the fact that this thing is seen some use, I mean, it's not been like abused at all. I mean, not at all. But I've got some problems with it. And I'm trying to keep in mind that this is such an old knife, but the problems that I'm experiencing, I don't think have to do with how old it is. Now, William Harsey is a very famous knife designer. I own one of his knife designs from Spartan called the Spartan Harsey Folder. Now, if you look at these, very, very similar in shape, right? Way bigger knife here, and this right here is a full-size big knife. A lot of people think this is way too big. Look at that. But very similar in its design because it was designed by the same guy. Of course, a long time ago, this one is a 2019 special edition with S35VN, so you can argue with that. Still an outdated steel to some of us in the knife community. I'm not much of a steel snob, but as a collector, you know, you like to have certain things. So it is S30V, like I said, blasted blade, plastic handles, barrel spacers, but titanium liners. The pocket clip is steel. Let me double check that, because I'm not sure if they went with steel, titanium on the sliders. Maybe they went, nope, totally steel. And I did not enjoy carrying it, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The tip down carry, I have learned with this knife, the tip down carry is an absolute no-no for me. I can't do it. I just can't do it. When I carried this knife, I hated it because of the tip down carry. The pocket clip itself works pretty good. Definitely not deep carry, but with a knife this size, you don't want deep carry, really. I mean, if you actually did go all the way down the butt of the knife, you might not even get it in your pocket because it's long as hell, right? So that doesn't bother me in the least. A lot of times when I have a good work knife or whatever, and I don't want deep carry. If I have a big beefy knife, I don't even want deep carry. But the pocket clip works halfway decent. It's a pretty thick pocket clip. You ain't gonna break this thing. That is faux show. You've got jimping in all the places that you usually have on a Harsey design. The jimping is not too aggressive up here. It's kind of aggressive down here. And a lot of times when you see that, the people that make it or designers will say that it's designed to be used with gloves, right? Especially for a tactical, hard-to-use knife. And I put that in this category, so I'm okay with that. It's still not like crazy. Like the big sharp jimping is down here, and even with my big hands, I'm on it. Like there, it starts right there. I'm on it, but just barely my pinky and maybe this finger is on it very much. Come back here, blah. But ergonomically, because it's thick this way, it's pretty thick. Ergonomically, it feels okay. However, this pocket clip being tipped down and being up here where my hand usually grabs is definitely a hot spot for me, right? In this area, because I can feel my skin going into that slot right there. But it also humps up quite a bit. So I'm not used to that at all. And to me, it's very hot spotty if I'm really digging down on this thing. So that was kind of unpleasant. The main issue that I have with this knife is that pocket clip, and then to be basically branded as a very bold, strong, hard-use knife. I've even seen some, I think, that had a locking mechanism to lock this open. So you basically like a fixed blade, which this version is not that. Made in the USA, if I didn't remember. The Lone Wolf was made in the USA and then we bought by Benchmade, by the way. So I was really excited about that. The other thing that basically just killed it for me, and it just might be this model, it might be because it's old and it was used and it's just worn, I'm not exactly sure. Running on washers, but still, I would say relatively smooth for a knife running on washers. I really don't have any problem with that. However, when it locks up, I was kind of concerned about this lockup being so late. And when I really got to look at it, I think it's designed that way, which is fine. However, it's got pretty massive lock rock. That's not cool. That's a deal breaker for me. Some of the other videos that I saw on this to kind of do research, because I didn't know anything about it. Nobody said anything about that it was, solid as a rock, but the videos that I saw were about 9-10 years ago. It seems to be pretty centered. It almost looks like, if you're looking at it down here, it looks like it's off to the lock side, but it's really not. The washers on this thing are pretty beefy because you have a pretty beefy pivot and area in there. They're about the size of this from what I can tell. Didn't take it apart, obviously. Not going to. Way oversized hardware, which I really like, especially on a big beefy knife like this. We don't need no teeny tiny hardware. So that's really good. Looks like it's relatively nice hardware. So all in all, I never see myself owning one of these, especially not with secondary pricing, because these are rare now, right? They just don't make them anymore. And so when a knife is like that, prices go up, especially for those that are just looking to add to their collection. If you're a Bill Harsey collector, right? You have all the Harsey from Harsey designs from Spartan and all these other, his fixed blades and whatnot, then you want this in your collection, right? But you want to find a good one. If you do that right now, you're going to spend some money, because you just can't find them. As far as, I'm not even going to do the camera turnaround. I do want to show you some size comparisons. We've already done the Spartan Harsey, which is a decent sized knife. One of the other big decent sized knives, big work knives I have is the Cold Steel 4max. And just to put it side by side there, as you can see, it's much longer than the Cold Steel 4. I wouldn't say much longer, but it's longer than the Cold Steel 4max. So you're looking at about, what did I say, about 10.7 inches overall, and a 4.8 inch blade. So I mean, it's got plenty of blade to do whatever the heck you want. That is for sure. Now, comparing these two knives, I mean, the Cold Steel 4max, 100% hands down, feels so much more solid than this guy. This, of course, is in 20 CV. And Demko design, which Demko is known for his very beefy, bulky, just sturdy as a rock. Triad lock, definitely not, in my opinion, as fidgety as something even as a liner lock. But 100% hands down, this is definitely the knife I'm going for very hard use work that I need a long blade for. And so holding this and then holding this just doesn't compare. Another long, big knife that I have is the Cold Steel. This is the Voyager XL Tonto. So as you can see, this is bigger, but not by much. And this is plastic handle, Austin A steel. But because of the Triad lock, this feels a lot sturdier than this guy because of that, especially. Can you hear that? Just don't like it. I just don't like it. It can't, if it was solid as a rock as far as its lockup, then I would probably have a little bit more empathy for the knife. I just don't at this point because of that. It's USA made. I love that. I love Bill Harsey, but this is kind of a fail. And keep in mind, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's 15 years old, so I'm not used to these knives. I mean, I've always had knives and carried them forever, but as far as really being in the hobby, it's only been about 2 years. So so this was long before I really got into it, and so now I'm kind of spoiled with what we can get for our money these days. It's a very good time to be a knife collector, knife enthusiast. This is just one that doesn't hold up to what I like, right? Even for a work knife, because I don't have to have fall shut action, just a hole deployment or anything like that. That's why I still keep these things around, because I don't have to have that for a really heavy duty work knife, but it does have to be solid, right? I can, using the thumb studs with wrist, use it to middle finger flick it out. That's fun. Really can do it with the Cold Steel, but it's not exactly easy, just like this one. You definitely, you don't have a detent or anything like that because it's a spring of the lock. This one, as far as a detent, it's not non-existent really. Like, it's just spongy when it goes in. So yeah, all in all, I can't really recommend it. You can't really find them anyway if you wanted it. I just still love the look and the shape because it's a Bill Harsey design, and I do love that. Love the thickness, the size, and everything. It just wouldn't be something that I would purchase, but I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to try it. This is the first Lone Wolf knife I have ever experienced. Didn't leave a great taste in my mouth, but they have been discontinued forever, all their designs. Maybe one of these days I'll get another design and feel differently. So I'm hoping that the Lone Wolf, like the old school guru, won't just like slaughter me in the comments. But if you do, that's fine. If you absolutely love this knife and yours is different than this, where it is a solid lockup and just smooth as can be, just an excellent representation of what this knife is supposed to be, let me know, because I don't know anybody else that owns this knife. Bad Monkey is the only one, and I'm not even sure how long he has had it. So anyways, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and checking it out. This was going to be a quick one because I knew I didn't want to dog on the knife, but I knew it wasn't going to be like a glowing review just because I can't do that. Tip down carry, I have learned with this knife, because a lot of the other knives that he sent over were tip down carry. I don't think I can actually give a good review on it because I just don't like tip down carry. I just don't, not in the least. So yeah, Can you flip? Oh, you can front flip this guy. That's actually interesting. I mean, you barely have anything. I always kind of saw that, and I'm like, what? So put my thumb there, flick it open. That's kind of fun. But because it doesn't have a detent, you can actually whip it out there like that. So that's a lot more fun than doing the slow roll or even the middle finger flick, because it doesn't work as well. That's pretty cool. So there you go. You got that going for you. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. As always, go check out Bad Monkey EDC on Instagram. Link will be down below. Give him some good support. The guy has a great Instagram page. Always posting cool pics and stuff like that. It's just a real big support of a lot of us smaller channels, and we really do appreciate him. So definitely go show him some support. And as always, fuck YouTube and Google, and stay safe in this crazy world that we are living in. And we will see you in the next one.